Hello boys and girls, I am the Guide Knight and welcome to part 6 of my Godot tutorial. We are creating a 2D breakout game where we hit a ball and it destroys some invisible bricks so far. In this episode, we're actually going to add the first bricks that will be destroyable, and we will do that in the first naive approach. So the easiest way to do it, and maybe in a later episode, we will improve that a little bit. So let's get right onto it. Press F8 to exit the play of the game, and then we will create a new folder. Just go and create bricks. In the bricks folder, we're going to add 2 new scenes. So create a scene, use another node or other node, and then go to static body 2D. Static body 2D. Make sure you call it blue brick, because we have we have 3 bricks in our sprites, but we're gonna use the blue brick and the green brick for now, only those 2. And we will add an animated sprite as a child of the blue brick. The animated sprite is a little bit different from the normal sprite, and you will see shortly why we need that and why we use an animated sprite and not a normal sprite. One difference is that you cannot simply drag and drop the image to the frames. It doesn't have like a texture, it has a frames. So you need to click here and then go to new sprite frames, and then you can click again to actually open the sprite frame editor. In the sprite frame editor, we can now drag the brick, and let's see if it actually is not blurred. If it is blurred for you, like that, you just re-import it. That's it. So now let's click here and remove the centered toggle button, so that we have the brick nice and nice like that. And then we will fix this error message that says there is no shape. So let's go here, Control A, collision shape 2D, and we will use a rectangle. Okay. We now have our first brick, guys. It doesn't do a lot, but let's save it on the blue brick DSCN, and we can also add it to our world to see if it interacts in some way. We will not make it a child of the wall because we don't want it to be like that, but see, we can actually hit it. Nothing happens when we do hit it because we didn't add any destroy bricks criteria. So let's go ahead and add those. How can we do that? First of all, we will need a script that we will add to the brick. Let's just call it brick.gd, not blue brick. It's under bricks. So we save the script, and this is the standard script. But let's think about what do we need to do. We need to make sure we identify the instance or the time, or we identify whenever the ball hits the brick, right? And we need to know if the ball hits exactly the brick and not the wall and the player. So if you remember correctly, our hit script and bounce script is inside the ball.gd script. So here we have a collision, so this means the ball hits something, and we check for the player using this singleton, like the player container. We could technically use the same logic. We can add a ball container or something like that, and not a ball but bricks container, and basically add all the bricks inside as an array and iterate over the array, check if this is the brick that we're hitting. If it's not, is it the other? But I think that there is a better way. And the better way is to actually use the object's metadata. Each object has a, let me maybe here go to object and then set meta. Like there are like those methods that you can use, like set metadata and get metadata. It adds, changes, or removes a given entry in the object's metadata. Metadata are serialized and can take any variant value. So we can basically set any value to the brick. And and then we can identify by the metadata if we're hitting the brick or not. So let's go back to our script here. Let's save it. For some reason, it is showing like that. Give me a second to reopen the project and see if this will fix it. Yeah, we're back, and I just quit the project and reopened it. Basically, this fixed the name of the script, which is nice. So let's go back to the brick TSCN. Or maybe it was not the name of the script. Never mind. Anyhow, we are here now. And let's add one metadata field in the ready function. Like we can get rid of all those comments and say set meta. And we will just say the name of the metadata entry is brick and the value is true. So we want this to be true when this is a brick. So in our bow script, in the else, here in the if else statement, in the if statement, we hit the player. So we definitely know that we're not hitting the brick. So in the else statement where we hit the walls and the brick currently, we'll just print collision collider dot get meta list. So let's go with list first to see what kind of metadata we have and how can we maybe access it. One more bracket than I need. So let's try it now. Okay, so now I am hitting the wall and there is no metadata for the wall, right? But when I hit the brick, it appears there is also no metadata there. Okay, so let's see what is causing this. We go to our blue brick and we see that we definitely set the metadata. But one weird thing that I noticed is that this thing is actually not the script. This is not the script we want, right? So let's clear it from here, or you can just clear it with this button. And then let's go and load our brick script. For some reason, it was not our script. So now if we actually start, we should see the brick. And if we hit the wall, we should see no metadata. So we can use that in our bow script. Let's go to the bow GD. And let's say if collision.collider get meta. In this case, we're not going to use the list, but we're going to use the get meta. And let's see what the get meta method actually has. It has a name. So our name is brick, right? And the value should be true. If it's brick, it should be true. If it's not brick, should be false. So we can simply print what is the output of this as well, right? And we can just say, okay, this is a brick, hit brick. So we're hitting the brick, it's true, otherwise it's null. And null actually in the if statement is considered not true. So it kind of works, right? Let's go back to the script and get rid of the first statement. So what do we want to do here, right? We now have the brick. We know that the collider object is the brick, and we would like to destroy it, right? Somehow destroy it. So let's go back to the brick script and create a variable called HP like, or hit points. Let's call it hit points, and let's say each brick has a default hit point of 1. And then we're gonna create a function called increase hit points. And this function will make sure the hit points are getting less by 1 And in the end, if hit points is less or equal to 0, it should always be first 0 equal, but we're adding a less to make sure there are no like weird conditions. If hit points are less or equal to 0, we'll do Q3. So let's test this basic code. So if we hit it once, it should die. No, it's not dying. So why isn't it dying, guys? Do you know? Let me go back to the script. It's not dying for the good reason that we just don't call the method, right? That's usually what's happening. We forget to, or I forget to add a call here and there to a method. So right now the collider is the brick and we call decrease hit points. Now it should die. If I can hit it, that would be great. There we go. We destroyed all our bricks. Job well done. There is, however, more to the story, right? We not only have the blue brick, but we would like to have a brick with 2 lives, like a more complex brick that we need to destroy by 2 hits. So let's duplicate our blue brick scene and call it green brick. Let's double click and open the green brick. In the 2D editor, we can click on the animated sprite. And if the sprite frames are not visible, just click here. It should be now visible. And we are going to delete the blue brick sprite from the green brick animated sprite object. Then we're going to drag and drop the two versions of the brick, like the whole brick and the damaged brick. And we're going to save. Now in the world, we'll add a green brick somewhere. Let's select it with Q and move it with W. So let's try to hit it. Job not easy. Anyhow. All right. What will happen if I eventually manage to hit it is that it will, yeah, there we go. It will just die, right? So because it has the same script that they share the script, right? They share the brick script. So what do we need to do? We need to, there are like 2 ways to do it, or at least 2 ways to do it. One of the way is to make this hit points exportable and make sure that the green brick has always hit points of 2 and in the world or wherever we can just like increase the hit points here in the green brick, and this has like 1, and then go forward with that, right? But there is, I think, in my opinion, a more elegant way of doing things. That is to count how many sprite frames we have. Because right now, we don't want to have any hits to the bricks that do absolutely nothing, right? So we would like, if the brick is hit, to be visual change. So we can use that. For this, we will need to actually, let's get rid of that. For this, we need to actually get the animated sprite, right? So let's create a variable called animated sprite and use the get node function to get it. Here we go. There is the animated sprite. So in the animated sprite, we need to find the method that gives us the current frame, gives us an option to change the frames, because we also want with each hit to increment the frame. So like right now, this is on frame 0. If we go to here, we can also change it manually, frame 1, and there are no more frames. Like we have those 2 options. We want to do that from the script itself. And we also want to know how many frames there are in total, right? So let's go to search help and go to animated sprite. Double click and see properties. It has the frames properties. Those are sprite frames. And then it has the frame, right? Let's click on frame. It has a get frame and set frame. This will allow us to change the current frame, which is good. This is one of the things we need. In the frames properties, let's click on them. Those are of type sprite frames. So this returns an object that is called sprite frames. And let's look into the sprite frames to see what kind of methods and properties it has. Does it have something that will give us the the length or the size of the frames, right? How many frames there are. Oh, there is get frame count. This looks very promising. Returns the number of frames in the animation. Okay, this is a getter method, but it returns, it requires you an animation name or a string, right? The animation name, you can see right now, it's still open, the sprite frames here, the editor. Our animation right now is called default because I didn't change the name. You can create more animations, and this will return the number of frames for each of those animation, right? Right now, the new animation has 0 frames, and the default one has 2 frames. So let's get rid of the new animation. So maybe this is all we need for now, and go to the brick. Okay, so we are in the... First of all, let's initialize the hit points. We don't want to have any value at first. We want to have values when we actually have the sprite frame. So hit points will be equal to the number of frames we have, right? So frames dot get frame count, right? And the animation name will be default. So right now for the green brick, we'll have 1 frame, so 1 hit point, and for the for the blue brick, we have 1 frame, 1 hit point. For the green brick, we have 2 frames, 2 hit points. So we can directly test it, but let's just also add the animation change to be easier to follow in the game. So how can we do that? Right now, we are always starting at frame 0. We can ensure that it's frame 0. We can say, okay, animated sprite frame equals 0, but it doesn't really matter, right? So we can say here in the decrease hit points, animate if we don't even need to check, but we'll add an extra check just in case, right? Because we don't want to go out of bounds of the area of the frames. We can just iterate because we are destroying the object once we run out of frames, and the frames are coupled with the hit points, but we will just add a second check just to make sure. It's always better safe than sorry. So if animated sprite current frame, which is frame, this is returning an integer. This is returning the number or the order of the current frame in the frames. If this is less than animated sprite frames get frame count default, then animated sprite frame plus plus, right? Plus equal 1. So what does this do? It checks if our current frame is less than our total frames, and if that's so, we increment our current frame, so we change to the next frame. Let's if we have 2 frames, this will be first 0, it will be showing this, and we'll check, okay, can we increment to the next frame? Is 0 less than 2? Then okay, I already see a small issue here, but let's go with the example, 0 less than 2, yes, so we increment to 1, but then for 1 it will say, okay, this is also less than 2, right? So it will increment to 2, and we don't have a third animation frame, so I'm just gonna add -1 here, and this should fix it. Okay, so now let's try to hit some bricks, guys. Ideally, I would like to hit the green brick because the blue brick is still being destroyed after 1. Yep, here I managed to hit it once with the bow. Or maybe to hit it again. There we go. It's destroyed, guys. It's destroyed. Okay, so now that we have that, we don't have what we don't have. I don't know. Now that we have that, we can actually add our first rudimentary level at the end of this episode. We're just gonna go and create the levels folder. And in the levels folder, we're going to add a new scene. And we're going to use a 2D scene. Let's say easy level. And in the easy level, we're going to add some bricks, right? Let's zoom out with the middle mouse button. We're going to add some bricks. I don't know. Should be fine like that. I can configure the snap to 32 by 32 so that I have a little bit, or maybe I can configure the grid step to be 24 by 96 maybe, right, for the level, so that I can okay, this is the wrong dimension. Should be 96 by 24, right? This is the exact size of our brick, so we can like move the bricks at brick at a time. I don't know what I'm doing here, just dragging and dropping some bricks somewhere. Okay, so we can save the level in the easy levels, and then in our world we're going to delete with control. In the left click we select multiple and delete all the bricks, and then we're just gonna drag and drop our level, guys. Let's see, we can let's leave it like that, or maybe we can, yeah, just align it here. Then we save, and there we go, guys. We have our first level with destroyable bricks. In the next episode, we're going to maybe fix how we create the bricks so that we don't like have two scenes and so on, and also add the gray brick, which will be indestructible. And if there is time, we will add our first dynamic level. So every time we load it, it will be different, and we don't need to like manually add the bricks. So stay tuned, guys. I hope you liked this episode. You can feel free to leave me any feedback or anything you didn't understand, you wished I explained a little bit more, or I didn't cover at all. So yeah, if you have such questions or any comments, just feel free to contact me in the comment section. That would be awesome. I appreciate any feedback you give me, guys. And also, you can thumbs up the video if you liked it. You can thumbs it down if you didn't, but please don't. Well, you can. Feel free. And yeah, that's it. Stay safe, stay cool, stay awesome, as I know you are. And we'll see each other, or not. Well, you'll hear me next time, I guess. See you guys. Bye-bye.